Hi there, Jay, back again. Lesson 6 now on the EDM tutorial. We're getting there, but now we're going to add an intro to this tune, so the DJs can mix it in with their set. And like I said in the last video, we're going to make this a bit more of an interesting introduction rather than just sort of a kick and a snare or kicking some hats. So before we actually do that, I just want to come and tidy up this arrangement a little bit. We've got quite a few tracks that are not being used, and we need a few more drum tracks as well, as we're going to be adding some drums into this intro. So we're not using many of these mono ready purple ones, so highlight the top one. I'm just going to leave a couple of those tracks. I know there's something on this bottom track, but let's just leave maybe a couple of those in case we need to use them later on. Hold down Shift, click the bottom one of that selection. Right click, remove selected tracks. So that gets rid of all them ones that we're not using. We're using all the greens, so we'll leave them as they are. We can get rid of that chopper automation, or at least hide it at the moment. You can click the minus there. Click that again. And we're just going to put that track height the same as all the others. Snare's got some automation on it. We'll leave that for the moment. We need some more of these brown or orange rather drum tracks, so we'll do that in a second, but we're just going to get rid of some of these blue MIDI tracks which we use for bass, but we're actually only using one on this particular track. So let's just go in and get rid of a load of them. We'll leave a couple just in case. Highlight them all, remove, and let's just go right to the bottom where you can right click in the gap, add audio track, and this is the window that comes up. We're gonna, we want stereo, leave that on stereo. And how many do we want? I think another 3, I believe. Let's just add 3. And here they are. There's plonked them underneath the other ones, which is great. So we just need to change the color of these. Highlight that one and then just click up the top here on the right hand side of the color bar. Go for orange and do the same with those two. Okay, and I'm just going to move the big kick down. Okay, so as you can see, we're working from bars 1 to 17 for the intro section. Let's start by bringing in the kick. Go to your audio pool, go to import, and I've called it the intro kick. There we go. I'm going to bring this into the track that's called Kick SC. We sometimes put a sidechain compression on that. We actually might do that in the mix for some of the synths, which might just give it a bit of movement up and down in volume, but we'll come on to that later. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So we want to double up this kick on every beat, of course. You know the drill, so I'll just get on with this. So there's our kick in place. We're going to be putting some EQ on that, and also we're going to be automating the EQ because the first 9 bars of that, I want to have the low end of that kick drum actually EQ'd out. So when it comes in on bar 9, it comes in with a bit of impact, and you can hear the sort of low end of the kick. I'll show you what I mean once we get there. Let's bring in the ride cymbal. And this is what it sounds like so far without any EQ or reverb or anything at all. Let's quickly just go and tame that down. That ride is far too severe. Let me just take off a little bit of that top end. EQ on the ride channel. We want to change that to, okay, we'll have to use band 4 on the shelf. Okay, that's a little bit better. Let's add a bit of reverb to that as well. Okay, that'll do for now. That's fine. We've just tamed that down a little bit. It was a little bit in your face before. We'll just bring in some more things first before we do anything else. Just want to bring in a clap and a clicking sound, like a finger click, because when they go together, that's really nice. The clap is already in the audio pool because we've used it before. Let's put that in. Clap. We'll put it on a separate track just in case you want to put some different effects on it than when it's used later on in the song. And we also need to import the click. There we go. Nice little finger click there. And when you layer it up with the clap, it sounds really nice. Obviously way too loud. Just going to put these on every off beat, so I'll do a couple, then let you do the rest. So just been listening to these, but it's going to be easier if I name them. Just been putting these on solo so we don't have those effects getting in the way of us balancing the volumes and everything of the clap and the click and the ride and everything like that. Okay, so I've just put them all 4 of these tracks on solo. We'll just have a little listen. We just need to add a little bit of a reverb. Just going to listen to the clap and the click. Let's do clap first. Okay, so I've just come in and put a tiny bit more reverb on the ride. So I just wanted that tail to be a bit longer to fill out. That reverb on that ride was just a little bit too short. And I've just adjusted the reverb on the clap and the click, and it should be, it's not too bad at the moment. Let me just show you. Okay, that'll do for now, and when we get the arpeggiator in there, we can obviously come back and adjust that accordingly. So that's fine for now. I think the kick drum needs a bit of EQ. It's not quite doing it for me at the moment. Needs a little bit of oomph in the bottom end, and it's got quite a bit of top end on that kick sample as well. Not too bad. I like the top end of it, but it's not really cutting through, and I mean the low end part of it's not really cutting through. Not got enough impact. I like the top end of it, but I think we need to just tone it down a slight touch. Let's have a look at that. So let's go and find the high end section of that kick, and then we'll find it by boosting it, and then we'll bring it down. Something like that. I might have actually reduced a little bit too much, but we can adjust that as we go. As we fill in the rest of the instruments, we can blend them all together. Now, just wanted to give it a bit in the bottom end, probably around 100. Let's have a little look. That's just added a little bit of body to the lower end, around about the 100 hertz. You've got to be careful when you're working down here. So if you boost it wrong, you'll start to hear a boxy sound, and that is just horrible. But I've managed to boost a small amount at about 100, and when I do it with and without, you can hear that it's got a lot more impact. Let me just show you without and then with. I think that's much cleaner. It's got a bit more body to it. So I'm happy with that. Let's move on. Okay guys, just carrying on with the EQ on the kick. As I mentioned to you earlier, I wanted to take out the low end part of this sample for the first 8 bars, and then for the second part of the intro, I want the low end of the kick to come back in. We're also going to be messing around with the ARP with lots of filters as well, but you'll see that this is going to be quite an effective thing to do. So let's just show you what I mean. So basically I'm going to turn on and turn off this band 1 EQ, which is a low cut. So this is what it's going to sound like for the first 8 bars. So we might have to turn the volume up on that, because we've taken quite a lot of the low end out of that. Obviously we've taken out quite a bit of the volume as well. And this is what it's going to sound like when it kicks in at bar 9. So that's the EQ that we just did, so that's fine. So as you know, there's 2 ways you can do automation. If you've been watching the previous lessons, you can draw it in yourself on the actual track here, or you can just press right and just do it that way, and it will record your movements. So I'm just going to do that for now. and I'm going to set the cursor back to 0 or what first bar, and we're going to turn on the EQ, and I'm going to turn it off when we get to bar 9. So I'm just going to click right automation. I'm going to click start on the transport bar, and then just get ready to turn this off when we get to bar 9. That's fine. We can now turn that off. Actually, we'll leave the read on so it reads the automation when we play it back. And you can see that's doing it for us automatically, so that's great. That effect will become apparent a bit later on. So let's start thinking about adding this arpeggiator in. So we're going to need yet another Silenth. Let's just see which one we can use, because we've used quite a lot now. Which MIDI track we can use, I should say. So we're down to this one, I think. Yep, next one down. So let's go into your VSTs. You know the drill by now. Add rack instrument, Silenth, cancel. Let's add the presets of the ARP and just assign the track to the lowest instance of Silenth. And we just need to program in a simple one note MIDI bar, which is going to trigger the arpeggiator. So we get the pencil tool. We're going to draw in an empty MIDI box. Let's just come into that, and I know that we need to go and turn that down a touch. Okay. Yeah, I think we're going to do this on G, so C, D, E, F, G, that was correct. So we need a pen tool on the G, and just get the arrow and just drag that across. To copy these across. Starting to sound quite nice now. Okay, starting to take shape. We're going to be EQing with automation that arpeggiator, so it gives it lots and lots of lovely movement. We're going to be automating distortion on it. We're going to be automating reverb as well. So it's just going to be lovely. Just as a quick note, I have included the unprocessed arpeggiator for you in audio form in the folder. So don't worry if you haven't got time to start programming this all then again. Okay, on with the track. We need to start automating the EQ, I think, on this arpeggiator. We first of all need to go and get the VST synth from the bottom of the page, and it's the 10th. So it's the 10th version of Silenth, even though it says 12. As we said before, because there's two other MIDI-ins there, it's actually the 10th instance of Silenth. So let's just go down like we did in one of the previous lessons, grab the number 10 folder, and we have to drag that up and put it under the one you're working on. then you can see what you're doing with your automation. So I can either go in here and choose which one I want to affect. This time we'll be going on to the track that says volume, because we don't want to affect anything on the actual VST this time. We just want to affect the EQ on the channel strip. And when you click that volume button there, you then get all your other parameters, so like EQ, filters, and these are all the Cubase ones that we've got on the channel strip already. But rather than choose the EQ there, I'm just going to program it in live like we've done before as well. So let me just go and do that now. And silent 10 has now moved away from the bottom of the mixer window, because we moved it in the arrangement window, so it's moved up in the mixer window, and here it is here. So let's just go up and open up a Studio EQ. And I want to add a bit of cut to the bottom end of this up, because I want this to be quite a thin sound when it first comes in the first 9 bars. So let's have that dropping off at around about 500. Let's just see what that sounds like. Let's just put our cursors back, sorry, the transport bar back. Quite a bit of bass taken out there, which is what I wanted. In fact, maybe just a touch too much. Okay, I'm going to take off the top end a little bit as well. Let's choose number 4, because I want this to sound very thin, almost like a telephone, where you've got the low end and the top end taken out. That's pretty much the effect I'm going for. We're going to automate EQ band 2 up and down. We're going to sweep up and down slowly, and that will give us a nice bit of movement. So let me just, and we will be adding in the distortion and reverb afterwards as well. Let's just record that in. Go back to the start, press right, and okay, something like that will do. Let's just play that back. Okay, you get the idea there. And what we're going to do now is automate a bit of distortion. We'll choose a bit of Camel Crusher, and this time I went for American Crunch because it's got quite a lot of distortion on it, but we're going to automate the mix. But let's just show you what it's like with. Yep, we're going to automate the mix on that, and we're going to put the distortion up at the start, or sorry, the end of the first section, which is 1 to 9, and the end of the second section as well. So let's just click right and press play. Okay, I just want to check that hasn't gone full distortion at the start there. Yeah, it has. Okay, it has. So because my loop went back to the start, I've actually recorded a bit of full distortion right at the start. So we need to just go and take that out. So Camel Crusher Master Mix we'll choose, and you can see, just get rid of Camel Crusher. So you can see there's my mix on the distortion going up and then coming down suddenly, which is what I wanted. Let's just adjust that one slightly. Then obviously you can come in and adjust all these yourself, so it's great. Or you can just draw it in to start with. And there's the distortion getting slowly higher at the end. Perhaps a bit more steep. And here's the bit at the start which I don't want, so I'm just going to highlight those 2 points and press delete. And there we go. Now I think we need to increase the volume on this as well. In fact, let's just do it in Camel Crusher. Camel Crusher. Let's just increase the volume in Camel Crusher. Okay, so we need to record the volume change because as the distortion gets louder, obviously the volume gets louder. So let's just quickly go back and do that. We want to write. Okay, so you can see that I was reducing the volume as the distortion went up. So we sort of got more of a level volume there. We still need to tweak that a little bit, but that's fine for now. For the purpose of this video, that's absolutely fine. Just see if we can... Yeah, so we can see the volume there in Camel Crusher coming down and also coming down here. So we'll tweak that as we mix it in the final mix, but that's fine for now. We also want to add a little bit of reverb to this as well, and also automate it. So I'm just going to scroll down and add a reverb. Room Works. Let's have quite a big epic reverb on this. I think something like Arena. We're gonna automate the mix. Okay, we're going to do that in the same position as well. So let's click on Write. Okay, so I've tried not to turn that up too much because it's an arena reverb. The sound might get a little bit lost, but at the same time, I wanted to give it a tiny bit of increase in reverb as the tune is progressing, and then on those bits at the start of the first section and the second section, just wanted to increase that. So let's just add another plus there. Have a little look at that. It should be at the top of the list, or the bottom of the list rather. Roomworks SE Mix. And there you can see our automation there. So you get the idea anyway of how you can do that. Okay, there's just one more final automation I want to do on the EQ on this ARP, and that is when we get to the bar 9, the end of the first section of the intro. I just want a bit more bass frequencies to come through, so I'm going to automate this number 1 cutoff point and bring it right back. Not all the way, because I want to make room for the kick drum, but we'll be bringing it back quite a bit. So let's just do that and show you what I mean. We'll start it on 5th bar this time. We need to click right. Okay, so you may have noticed that my computer was starting to struggle a little bit, which I thought was a bit strange. We haven't got that much going on. So I went into devices and pulled up VST performance window, which is this window at the bottom. And you can see when I click play, we're nowhere near on the maximum. So we shouldn't have any problems at all. So that's slightly embarrassing. Haha. I'll probably just go in and restart my computer. But that's a good little thing that came up there, that if you want to check the performance of your computer and see how well it's running in view of all the VSTs you've got running and automation, etc. Because it will eventually get to a point where it's a bit too much for your processor, depending on what type you've got, of course. So in this instance, Cubase is telling me that there shouldn't really be a problem. So I'm going to restart my computer and get rid of all the stuff that I'm not using. And then I'll see you in a moment. Okay, guys, welcome back. Let's just do one last thing to this intro. We're nearly finished with this. It's quite a good intro, but there's one more bit of interest I want to add to it. And I wanted a little sound in the section from 9 to 16, sort of an offbeat kind of sound. And I actually decided to use the first hit of the FX build-up hits effect that we've already got in. Let me just show you. I just want the very first hit of this. So what we're going to do is copy this over. Then we're going to zoom in and just literally just take the first note of that. So zoomed in a little bit much. Grab the bottom right hand corner of it. Come all the way in. So we've just got the first one. We need to take the snap down to 16. And we're just going to have that going on the offbeat. So let me just change that to 9.2. Oh, sorry, unsolo it. Yeah, so I want it building up as we go. So it's probably about the right volume at the moment. 0.2. So you want the 0.2 of the bar. And then I'm going to change the pattern slightly for the last section as it builds up towards the main intro riff. So let's have a little look at what's going on here. I think we need, it's probably that one there. I'm going to have a little listen to this in a second. It's not quite right. Right, so we need an extra one on 2. I know what I want in my head, don't worry. Okay, it's nearly there. That one's just slightly late. Yeah, that's what I was wanting. That's what I was after. So let's get rid of these other two and just copy those across. So we want 13.2, so 14.2. We're going to copy it one more time, and then we're going to just, once again, for variation and interest, we're just going to slightly change the last section again. I want this one to come in earlier this time. Something like that. let's see what that's like. Does that work? Let's have a little listen from a bit further back. I think we need a couple more beats in there to almost kind of fill it out, to almost like a drum fill. Just mess around with this, experiment with this yourself, and just get a pattern that you like the sound of. Yeah, I like that. And then that's going to go into the breakdown. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So I think that's pretty much it, guys. We've got the intro done. In fact, let's just have a listen to that intro. See what it's like after all them changes. And we go into the breakdown there. Okay, that's not too bad. We need to change some of the volumes. Once again, they're not quite sitting together exactly, but for the purposes of this video, I think I've covered what I wanted to cover. So I'll see you in the next video, which will be the final video, where we're going to mix the whole thing down. We might add a couple of things here and there as well. We'll listen to it with fresh ears and we'll go from there. So see you in the next video.